Oh my, I don't always get used to this view. I know you all have to look at this all the time, but you know what? When I get up in the morning and I look in the mirror, I see the new lines and I see the new gray hairs and I see all those things. And you know what? Bottom line is, we are who we are, and this is how we have been made. But I was reading an article this last week. It was actually a devotional time that I was doing. And in the devotional, the person that was writing was talking about this concept of being a self-made man or being a self-made woman. I mean, do you know people who consider themselves to be self-made? I've met some of them along the way. The guy that says, I am a self-made man. Everything that I've gotten, I've had to work hard for. No one's ever handed me things. I am a self-made man. Or the woman says, I'm a self-made woman. I had to go it on my own. I didn't have all the easy path like everybody else. I had to break that glass ceiling on my own. I am a self-made woman. Well, the author of this devotional was really saying that that's ridiculous. I mean, it really is ridiculous. No one, she said, is self-made. A part of the way she wrote it, kind of sarcastically in the beginning, is she said this. She goes, I am self-made. Didn't anyone tell you that? I brought myself into this world and I decided to be born on that bright Monday morning. Then I figured out how cells replicate and grow. And so I grew my own arms, and then I grew my own legs and a head that was reasonable height and size. And then I filled my own mind at kindergarten and in graduation with the information that I need. And I gleaned all of this on my own from works of literature, all on my own. And then, she goes on a little bit more, but the point I think is made. None of us is self-made. All of us have been made by those around us. It's not just about our own individual efforts, and I don't want to take away anything from those of you who have worked really hard and have found that the path was not always easy, because I know many of you are like that. There's a lot of us out there who didn't have breaks and had to make our own breaks. But you know what? None of us are self-made. There are people around us who have blazed the trail for us, who imagined possibilities for us, who nurtured us sometimes even when we didn't know we were being nurtured. And I think sometimes it's easy when we get along on life to feel as if we did it all ourselves. So, the Apostle Paul, he started probably more churches than any one person in the first century. He was responsible for the beginnings of so many churches, and he cultivated others for leadership as well, so that once he was done with his ministry, he could hand that over to somebody else. But Paul never saw himself as self-made. He knew the opportunities he got and how God had led him through different experiences and had given him different people in his life that helped make who he was. And so when he passed on his leadership to others, he made sure that they knew that as well. So in one letter that was written to Timothy, Paul is trying to remind Timothy that he was not self-made, but to continue on with those who in fact help him be made the way he was. He says this, he goes, I am grateful to God. This is 2 Timothy chapter 1 at verse 3. I am grateful to God whom I worship with a clear conscience, as my ancestors did, when I remember you constantly in my prayers night and day, recalling your tears. I long to see you so that I may be filled with joy. I am reminded of your sincere faith, a faith that lived first in your grandmother Lois and then in your mother Eunice, and now I am sure lives in you. For this reason, I remind you to rekindle the gift of God that is within you through the laying on of hands. For God did not give us a spirit of cowardice, but rather a spirit of power and of love and of self-discipline. I mean, did you hear it in there? He reminds him that the faith that he now lives was not self-made. It started with his grandmother, and then it was passed on through his mother, Lois, grandmother, Eunice, mother, and then through Paul in his teachings, and then through the Spirit who gave him the power of love and confidence, not cowardice. You see, none of us have got where we've gotten to on our own. None of us are self-made. All of us have a Lois or a Eunice or a Paul. All of us have gifts that God has given us and has poured those gifts on us so that they can be cultivated to the way for a way in which we can live out the calling to which we have been called. And when we get down our path in life and it looks like, well, we've arrived and we look at all the wonderful things we did, we've got to remember Lois and Eunice and Paul and the Spirit of God. I wonder, are those folks who have been in your life, the Eunices, the Loises, the Pauls, have they heard from you about how much you have done for them? It might take some time to reflect. It might take some time on your part to sit back and say, who are the people that God has put in my life who have made me? I'm not self-made. Who are my Eunices, my Loises, my Pauls? And maybe then reflect on, and what gift and opportunity has God put before me that has placed me where I am? You see, it's too easy for us, I think, in this life to live as if we are self-made and it's all about us. And if we do so, we forget that God has given us a wonderful community of faith and a Spirit that fills us and makes us able. So maybe this week, take that time, reflect, maybe send off a letter or a text, or, if that person has passed, maybe just offer up a prayer of thanksgiving for those people that God has put in your life that has helped make you who you are.